people, conversation, talking about the world and change and getting involved. Good morning and welcome back, Dave Zirin.
It's great to be here. Hey, Heartland!
Yeah.
All right, getting the juices going here.
That's good.
Dave.
Rogers Park!
Dave, can I remind you I have earphones on?
Oh, my bad.
All right. Anyway, Dave is a return visitor, and Michael, you want to talk about how we first got Dave here? Back when?
I think I met Dave through Athletes United for Peace, and when he did his first book, somehow he got me to write a couple words.
Yeah.
Which was really nice. And then I think the first time we hung out was down at the Basketball in the Barrio program of Athletes United for Peace in El Paso. And
Not just El Paso, but you and me went down to Juarez together.
We went to Juarez. Yeah, in the daytime. In the daytime. I actually have pictures of us. We were in the Central
Big
Cafe.
brave white guys.
Yep.
No, we were with a Mexican guy, Dave Romo. Who
Big brave white guys with a Mexican guy.
Great writing on border culture and the Revolutionary War is viewed from El Paso back in the, in the days of the Mexican Revolution. That Revolutionary War. So that's how I met Dave, and he's been on the show a number of times. When his last book came out, what's the title of that book? About
it's
the
called
owners.
Bad Sports. How owners are ruining the games we love. And my great regret with that book is that it was written before the arrival of Joe Ricketts and Tom Ricketts here in Chicago.
Well, I think at the rate you're putting out these books, you'll probably reissue it with a new chapter.
Yeah, you are a prolific dude.
Tell us about the Ricketts, your take on that, because there are some Cub fans in the midst.
Wait, where are they?
Yeah, there's a couple there.
I'm going to say this
We root
tomorrow.
for both teams, but mainly White Sox.
Yeah. I'm going to say this tomorrow when we do the book talk here at 3 p.m.
3 o'clock, 3 p.m., yeah.
But I think Joe Ricketts is the worst owner in professional sports.
Oh, how lucky for us to have him.
Yeah, because there are 3 boxes you really have to check to be considered a bad owner. And Joe Ricketts clicks all 3 boxes. The first box is, do you use your position as owner to advance horrific political positions and a horrific political agenda? And people might know that Joe Ricketts helped author this never published, or it was illegal. It was leaked to the New York Times. But this whole strategy to take on Barack Obama that was rooted in race and racism, and pinning him to Jeremiah Wright. So Joe Ricketts, open racist. He said that
unrepentant,
open racist. So that's the first thing. The second box that he checks is that he tools with the emotions of people who've loved the Cubs for generations, for a century.
Yeah.
People might have heard Joe Ricketts. He's threatening to actually move the team out of Wrigley Field. I mean, it's an empty threat, but the mere fact that you would even threaten to take the Cubs out of Wrigley Field is kind of disgusting.
I just think it's silly. I mean, doesn't he know where he is?
Yeah, I know.
Chicagoans would...
Well, no, he doesn't, because he's from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and that's where he lives. He's not a Chicago person.
Is he the grandfather guy?
I want to hear about the other 2 boxes.
Oh, there's
Ricketts
one more
ticks.
box.
Okay.
The other box is either you think you're the smartest person because it's your money, or you put your idiot son in charge because he needs something to do.
Or both.
That's Joe's son, Tom.
Now,
who's in charge.
what is their position? Since I'm not really following the Cubs, I don't know. He owns the Cubs now?
He is 95% of the team, yes.
Oh, swell. And then
he's terrible, and he uses his position and privilege as an owner to advance not just terrible positions, but a horrible agenda for the club itself.
And you'll remember during the election, they came out kind of anti-Obama, although there is one daughter, or granddaughter, I guess, who was active with Obama.
See, I like that, Michael. You get the story behind. You go one step further, and I like that about you. I've always liked that about you.
You got to read the sports section as well as the front
I don't
of the
have
paper.
to, because you do.
Well, speaking of owners, let's just talk a little bit about, are there any other pro sports owners that we either really dislike or we like? And I know that you have a fondness for the Green Bay Packers on the front of their ownership, and we agree with that, even though we are big rivals of the Green Bay Packers.
I love the Green Bay Packers.
But we do love that they are communally owned or collectively owned by the people of Green Bay. But they're the
people
only.
ask me who the best owner in sports is. I always say the 200,000 owners of the Green Bay Packers.
Amen.
Do people know about the Packers, how their ownership structure operates? Yeah,
Sure.
that's, to me, incredibly important and incredibly threatening to the business structure and even the political economy of
Thank you.
professional sports.
Well, you remember when Kroc died, I believe, or Kroc's wife from McDonald tried
Yes.
to leave the team, the San Diego Padres, to the city.
Right.
Major league owners nixed it.
That's correct.
And then we have owners like the guy with the Mavericks. Tell us about him. Are there any good guys out there? Bill Veeck is gone.
Yeah, Bill Veeck
Who
is
else
long gone.
Is there anyone we like?
But first of all, about Bill Veeck, we should remember Bill Veeck because there's going to be a lot of news in the next several weeks about a new movie called 42 about
yeah.
Jackie Robinson
Yeah.
and his entry into Major League Baseball, and it's going to paint Branch Rickey as who is the general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers as this great hero for bringing Jackie Robinson in. And we should remember, I guarantee you the movie won't talk about this, but Bill Veeck had actually a much more progressive position than Branch Rickey. Bill Veeck, the great Chicago and Cleveland owner, history in both cities, wanted to incorporate entire Negro League teams into Major League Baseball.
Wow.
So you would also incorporate Negro League ownership, managers, accountants, bookkeepers, groundspeople,
Wow.
like a real effort at integration, not just at the individual player, but at the level of actual structural anti-racist control. And Branch Rickey was strongly against that.
Is Ricky the guy played by Harrison Ford in the movie?
That's right.
Yeah, that's really good you said that, because I'm very much looking forward to seeing the movie about Jackie Robinson, because I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
Oh, I am too. And
But-
if it gets people to read, that's fantastic. But let's talk about some other things that I hope I'm wrong about this, but let's talk about some other things that I can almost guarantee won't be in the movie.
Bring it on, brother.
All right. In the Jackie Robinson story, and Lord, I hope I'm wrong, I don't think there's going to be any scenes of the Communist Party in the 1930s organizing mass demonstrations to end
support.
Jim Crow in baseball.
Yeah, I guarantee you that
actually
won't be
played
in
a
the-
huge role. Yeah, they played a huge role in the integration of Major League Baseball. It's the work of people like Lester Red Rodney, who is the sports editor of the Daily Worker. I'm going to guess that's not in there. I'm going to guess that there won't be a scene where Jackie Robinson in the Army beats up a racist sergeant and is almost sent to prison, if not for the intervention of Joe Louis himself. Because Jackie was already very famous because as a college athlete, he was very well known.
UCLA.
Yep, three-sport athlete. And Joe Louis, who was an icon, of course, heavyweight boxing champion, had to intervene in the Army to get Jackie out of the brig. I'm going to guess that's not going to be in the movie.
I never have heard that.
I never knew that story. That's an excellent story.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that's not going to be in there.
Was Joe Louis at the time in the Army, or did he was?
He had a sort of like a ceremonial position in the Army.
Exhibition boxer.
Exhibition boxer. You're so smart, Mike.
Well, I'm sitting next to you and you. I got two good people on both my left and my right.
Joe would wear the red, white, and blue trunks, and he was very acceptable to the Army as a hero because in the 1930s he had, of course, beaten Max Schmeling, who was the Hitler's
German.
favorite boxer.
Right.
And so he was widely acceptable as a symbol of fighting Nazi Germany in the
Brown
armed forces.
Bomber.
So, for the Brown Bomber. We could talk about more scenes that I guarantee you won't be in this movie, but that's okay. That's okay.
Well, one of the things that you are a prolific writer, and you are, I mean, I don't know when you rest, because you've put out, since I've known you, 3 or 4 books. You're a regular
Ever since you've known me,
columnist.
you've put out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them.
And
Holy
this is
smokers.
number 7.
Number 7. The first
Yeah.
book was What's My Name, Fool?
Yeah,
And
what's
we
my name?
met you before it came out.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. We
That's
talked about
It's
the
like
Muhammad Ali.
whole home week here.
Well, I'm very impressed with, and I'll off camera, we'll talk about how you write. But
We
here
could
in-
talk about that on camera too. Whatever you want to talk about is
ask
fine
him.
with me.
Well, what Okay. What was the breakthrough?
Because I know you're not the biggest sports fan.
No, I'm a
Oh,
big
no, she's a
sports
big
fan.
sports fan.
I'm a big sports fan,
White
but
Sox.
I let him read the paper.
Oh, I got you.
I read the other part of the
Bears.
paper or not.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about the Bears.
I don't know what to say about the Bears, Michael. I want to ask about writing.
Sure.
What was the breakthrough for you to just unleash, open up the floodgates? Was there a moment? Was there just a practice
Yeah,
that you
I mean-
eliminated or took on to allow you to sit down and
Yeah.
put all this out there?
For me, it was getting a job on a very small shoestring newspaper and having to imprint. This was in St. Mary's County, Maryland, and then in Prince George's County, Maryland. The job in St. Mary's, just to give you an idea, it was I made $250 a week, but I also had to sell $250 in ads a week. And for every dollar I missed the target of $250 was a dollar subtracted from my salary. So some weeks it was $200, some weeks it was less.
Jeez.
But the great thing about the job was I had to basically write constantly.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer, like, if people saw the movie Ratatouille, do you ever see that movie, that kid's movie?
Yeah,
And they say, like, anyone can cook was the message. And I really believe that anyone can write. It's not like something, I don't think anyone can perform brain surgery or give you a root canal. But I do believe
Thank
that
God.
anyone, thank God, but I do believe that anyone can write. It just takes a lot. It's like learning how to run a marathon. It just takes a lot of sweat
Practice.
equity and a lot of building up those muscles. And working at the newspaper
Gave you that.
You know what? It liberated me from what plagued me in my 20s, which was analysis paralysis, where I would stare at the page for so long and be almost terrified with the idea of putting words to paper and them not liking them. Like when you got to write for deadline and you know you're not going to get paid if you don't, all those fears of writing like the perfect sentence go fly out the window. And so that's what really helped me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So the first book you decided to write was about What's My Name, Fool?
Well, the first book I ever published was actually a children's book.
I love this.
It's not even listed
This
in
is
this
great.
No, it's
long
not
list.
Here we
listed.
go. This is archival footage. In the future, people will not know that Zirin started doing a kid's
Yeah,
book.
you could probably find it somewhere. I don't know. It's hardly Harry Potter, but it's. In my early 20s, like right out of college, I taught third grade in DC public schools. And
That must have been a fun class.
Oh,
Tell
it
us
was
where
a
you went to
lot of
college.
fun.
Where'd
A
you go
lot
to
of fun.
college in Minnesota?
McAllister College
Yeah, I
in
always
St. Paul,
messed in the wrong
Minnesota.
school, but-
Rock
the
on.
Fighting Scots.
Yeah, rock on.
Yeah.
McAllister.
It was so cold.
Great school.
So
Very
cold. No, just cold. It was cold. But there was a little girl in my third grade class who she was the smartest kid in the class, and she'd been kicked out of her home. And her mother worked at one of the luxury hotels in D.C., and the manager of the hotel let the mom and the daughter live in one of the empty rooms in the hotel. And that's where she lived. It was sort of like a negative photographic version of the famous Eloise story.
Right,
People
right.
know Eloise.
My gosh.
And
that's good.
And so I wrote a story about a little girl who lived in a hotel.
I love
Whose
that.
mom worked in the hotel.
I love that.
And
So
for
then
her, it was like a wonderland. Like, ooh, I
Sure.
get to live in this hotel. Like, not realizing that
it meant she was homeless.
she was homeless.
Yeah.
And this same girl, you know what's so great about Facebook? We're Facebook friends.
Oh God,
And
I love
she
that.
just graduated from Emory College, where she went on a full scholarship.
Dang. That's great.
And so it's nice to have stories with happy endings. And she's an activist, which Michael appreciate.
We
Well,
all appreciate
Yeah.
that. The whole
We all-
world can appreciate the activists.
well, some people. I think this week maybe the head of the Board of Education doesn't appreciate activists. Coming up.
Or education, or kids.
You know, you mentioned Lester Rodney and the role of the Communist Party in integrating baseball. Why don't you give us a little insight into other sports writers, current sports writers that you think are noteworthy? I know that you're my favorite sports writer.
Oh,
There's a few other guys out there I tend to read, but fill us in, because sports is not just running around on the field or doing pushing and shoving. It's also, there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and there's an awful lot of athletes who are, and sports fans who definitely think about conditions in the world and what goes on. So I'm wondering how that gets manifested in some writing of maybe some others besides yourself.
Oh, absolutely. But first, and I'm going to talk about this a lot tomorrow when we do our event here at 3 p.m., but I do a whole section in my talk about why sports writing is actually so bad today. And it is so bad. I mean, the whole reason why I wrote this book, Game Over, was out of frustration, because I feel like there have been these, and I'll save this for tomorrow, I won't go into it too much, but I feel like there have been these...
Give him a tease.
I'll give you a tease. There have been these revolutionary changes in sports since 2008 that have been affected politically. Oh, sorry. That have been affected politically. Politics has changed sports very dramatically since 2008. So... why haven't sports writers covered these changes? Why haven't sports writers covered the fact that the 2008 economic crisis greatly changed sports, leading to 4 lockouts in the last year?
Right.
That we almost didn't have a hockey season, almost didn't have an NBA season, and all that was because of the 2008 economic crisis. So why aren't they talking about that? Why aren't they talking about the incredible advance of athletes speaking out for LGBT rights in sports? Why aren't they talking about that? Why aren't they talking about recent studies about women in sports that, to me,